I am Dracula. Chapter 1. The Man Before the Monster. Transylvania, 1431. And before you say it, no. I am not what you think I am. I am not the creature in the cinema with the cape and the accent and the fear of garlic. I am not the monster in the bedtime story your mother told you, to keep you from wandering in the dark. I am something far older than that, and far more tired. My name, my real name, was given to me in a fortress in Transylvania in the winter of 1431. I was the son of Vlad Dracula, Vlad of the Dragon, a knight of the Order, a prince of Wallachia, a man who believed that honor and blood were the same currency. He named me Dracula, son of the dragon. I wore that name like armor for 20 years before I understood that it was not armor at all. It was a prophecy. But I was human once, completely, unremarkably human. I bled when I was cut. I wept when I was afraid. I loved, fiercely, recklessly, the way young men love before the world teaches them that love is a liability. I need you to know that, because everything that came after, the darkness, the hunger, the centuries of solitude, all of it began with a man, not a monster, a man who made choices, and the world made the rest. I grew up in the Carpathian Mountains, in a land where empires collided. The Ottomans to the south, the Hungarians to the west, and caught between them, my people, Wallachia, a principality too small to be safe and too proud to surrender. My father tried to play both sides. He swore loyalty to the Hungarians. He paid tribute to the Ottomans. And when neither side believed him, they took his children as insurance. I was 13 when they handed me to the Turks. My younger brother Radu came with me. We were hostages. The polite word is guests, but guests can leave. Chapter 2. The Hostage. Ottoman Court. Betrayal. Return. The Ottoman court was a gilded cage. They taught us their language, their customs, their religion. They wanted to reshape us, to send us back as loyal servants of the Sultan. My brother Radu adapted. He made friends. He smiled. He became, in time, more Turkish than Wallachian. I did not adapt. I watched. I listened. I learned how empires think, not with hearts, but with calculations. I learned that loyalty is a currency that powerful men spend on whichever side is winning. And I learned that the only thing an empire fears is a man who has nothing left to lose. When my father and my eldest brother were murdered, betrayed by the very allies they had trusted, I had nothing left. No family, no throne, no country. Just rage, and a name that meant dragon, and a memory of mountains I intended to reclaim. I returned to Wallachia. I took my throne, and I did what my father could not. I stopped playing both sides. I chose a side, my own. The Ottomans demanded tribute. I impaled their messengers. The boyars, the nobles of my own court who had conspired against my father, I impaled them too. The thieves, the liars, the traitors. Anyone who threatened the stability of my people, I removed with absolute finality. They called me Vlad Tepes, Vlad the Impaler, as if the method were the point. The method was never the point. The message was the point. And the message was simple. This land is mine, and I will defend it with a cruelty so complete that no army on earth will consider it worth the cost. Chapter 3. The Wife, Love, War, the Lady's River. I had a wife. History did not record her name with certainty. Some say Justina, some say another. But I remember her face with a clarity that the centuries have not dimmed. She had dark hair and the kind of stillness that certain people carry. The kind that makes a room feel safe simply because they are in it. She was the only person who ever looked at me and did not see the impaler. She saw the boy from the mountains, the boy who had been taken, the boy who came back harder than he left. And she loved that boy, even as the man he became frightened her. When the Ottomans came, and they always came, wave after wave, because empires do not accept defiance from small nations, the siege closed around our fortress. My wife stood at the top of the tower. She looked at the advancing army, and she chose the river over the Turks. She jumped. The river below that fortress is still called Raoul Duhamne, the Lady's River. They named it after her fall. I stood at the same window. I looked at the same water, and I did not jump. I should have. That was the last moment I was fully human. Everything after, the darkness that found me, the hunger that grew in me, the curse or the gift or whatever name you give to what I became, all of it roots back to that window, to the choice I made to keep living when living had lost its meaning. Because that is how monsters are made, not in a single dramatic moment, but in the quiet decision to continue when the soul has already left. The body persists. The hunger fills the space where love used to be, and the centuries stretch out ahead of you like a road with no destination. Chapter 4. The Change. Hunger, First Blood, Departure. I do not remember the exact moment I changed. That is the truth, and it disappoints people who want a dramatic scene. Lightning, a curse, a bite in the dark. Perhaps it happened that way. Perhaps it didn't. Memory is the first thing immortality corrupts. What I remember is waking up different, the world louder, colors sharper, the scent of blood, which every soldier knows, suddenly overwhelming. Not repulsive, magnetic, like the smell of bread to a starving man. And the hunger. Not like mortal hunger. Mortal hunger is a complaint from the stomach. This was a complaint from the soul. A hollowness so deep that no amount of food, wine, conversation, or conquest could reach it. Only one thing could, and I resisted it for days, then weeks, then not at all. I will not describe the first time. You do not need the details, and I do not wish to relive them. But I will tell you what I felt afterward. Nothing. That is the horror they never show in the films. Not the act itself, but the absence of guilt, the complete, crystalline clarity of a predator who has fed. No remorse, no revulsion, just silence, and the knowledge that the silence would need to be fed again. I left Wallachia, not because I was driven out, but because I realized that a thing like me could not stay in one place for long. People notice when a prince does not age, when his servants disappear, when the livestock dies without wounds but drained of blood. Suspicion is the one thing immortality cannot outrun. So I began to move, east, west, north, through centuries and continents, through plagues and revolutions and wars that mortals thought would end the world, but only rearranged it. Chapter 5. The Centuries. What Immortality Tastes Like. Let me tell you what the centuries taste like. The first 100 years are the hardest. You still think like a mortal. You still expect things to matter. You grieve when people die. You form attachments. You walk through cities and imagine yourself as part of them, as a citizen, a neighbor, a man. By the second century, that fades. You begin to see humans the way a shepherd sees sheep, not with cruelty, but with a distance that makes cruelty unnecessary. They are born, they make noise, they reproduce, they die, and you are still there, standing in the same field, watching the flock replace itself. By the third century, you forget what food tasted like, not the memory. You can recite the flavor of bread, the sweetness of fruit, the salt of meat, but the sensation, the experience of eating, of being satisfied, of pushing away from a table and saying, "That was enough." You forget what enough feels like. By the fourth century, you forget faces, not all at once. They blur. Your wife's face becomes your mother's face, becomes a woman you saw in Venice in 1723, becomes no face at all, just the impression of a face, like a painting left in the rain. By the 5th century, which is roughly where I stand now, you forget why you wanted to live in the first place. That is the curse, not the blood, not the darkness, not the sunlight, or the crosses, or the garlic, most of which are exaggerations anyway. The curse is duration. The curse is watching everything you love decompose while you remain. Marble cracks, mountains erode, languages die, and you are still here. The same hunger, the same face in the mirror that you stopped looking at 3 centuries ago. Immortality is not living forever. It is dying forever, one night at a time, and waking up every evening to do it again. Chapter 6. The Centuries. What Immortality Tastes Like. Let me tell you what the centuries taste like. The first 100 years are the hardest. You still think like a mortal. You still expect things to matter. You grieve when people die. You form attachments. You walk through cities and imagine yourself as part of them, as a citizen, a neighbor, a man. By the second century, that fades. You begin to see humans the way a shepherd sees sheep, not with cruelty, but with a distance that makes cruelty unnecessary. They are born, they make noise, they reproduce, they die, and you are still there, standing in the same field, watching the flock replace itself. By the third century, you forget what food tasted like, not the memory. You can recite the flavor of bread, the sweetness of fruit, the salt of meat, but the sensation, the experience of eating, of being satisfied, of pushing away from a table and saying, "That was enough." You forget what enough feels like. By the fourth century, you forget faces, not all at once. They blur. Your wife's face becomes your mother's face, becomes a woman you saw in Venice in 1723, becomes no face at all, just the impression of a face, like a painting left in the rain. By the 5th century, which is roughly where I stand now, You forget why you wanted to live in the first place. That is the curse. Not the blood, not the darkness, not the sunlight or the crosses or the garlic, most of which are exaggerations anyway. The curse is duration. The curse is watching everything you love decompose while you remain. Marble cracks, mountains erode, languages die, and you are still here. The same hunger, the same face in the mirror that you stopped looking at 3 centuries ago. Immortality is not living forever. It is dying forever, one night at a time. Chapter 7. The Castle. Wolves, Fire, Shakespeare, Solitude. I live in the mountains still. Not the same castle. That fell to ruin long ago. And then tourists came, and then gift shops, and then bus tours with cameras. I left when they started selling postcards with my name on them. There is an indignity in becoming a souvenir that even the undead find unbearable. I found another place, higher, harder to reach. The kind of place where winter lasts 8 months and the wolves still outnumber the people. I have an arrangement with the wolves. They do not disturb me. I do not disturb them. It is the most honest relationship I have had in 300 years. My castle, if you can call it that, is cold, stone walls, no electricity by choice, candles, a fireplace that I light not for warmth, but for the sound. The crackle of burning wood is one of the few sounds that has not changed in 5 centuries. Rivers sound different now, dammed, redirected, polluted. Cities sound like machines. People sound like their telephones. But fire still sounds like fire. And that is a comfort. I have a library, thousands of books, first editions of things you have only seen behind museum glass. I have a Shakespeare folio that I bought from a bookseller in London in 1623 for less than £1. I read it every decade or so. The tragedies improve with age, the comedies do not. I do not have a television, but I read newspapers. I read the internet. Yes, I know how to use it. Immortality does not prevent adaptation. And I have observed that the world has not changed as much as it believes it has. The empires are different, the weapons are different, but the mechanics of power, fear, loyalty, betrayal, and the willingness to destroy what you cannot control, those are identical to the court politics I navigated in the 15th century. The Ottomans had a sultan. You have corporations. The stakes are impaled differently, but the principle is the same. Chapter 8. The Loneliness. Nothing is a substance. People ask me, the few who have found me, the fewer who survived the finding, whether I am lonely. The answer is complicated. Loneliness requires the memory of company. You must know what it felt like to not be lonely in order to recognize the absence. And I am losing that memory. The way you lose a language you once spoke. You remember that you knew it, but the words themselves have dissolved. I knew love once. I described her to you. I knew friendship, or what passed for friendship among warrior princes who would betray each other by sunrise. I knew the warmth of a fire, shared with men who trusted me to lead them into battle the next morning. Those things are gone, and the space they occupied has not been filled by something worse. It has been filled by nothing, and nothing, absolute, perfect nothing, is the most terrifying substance in the universe, because it cannot be fought, it cannot be fled, it cannot be impaled on a stake and left as a warning to others. It simply is. I have tried, over the centuries, to form connections. Each one ends the same way. Either they discover what I am and recoil, or they grow old while I remain unchanged, and I must watch yet another face I cared about soften and sag and close its eyes for the final time. Chapter 9. The Envy. Why I envy your endings. I have watched your world from the shadows for 500 years, and I have a confession. I envy you. Not your happiness, which is fleeting and mostly imagined. Not your youth, which you waste with a consistency that would be impressive if it were not tragic. Not your freedom, because you are no more free than I am, merely imprisoned by different walls. I envy your endings. You get to stop. That is the gift you do not appreciate until you have lost it. You get to reach a point where the pain has an expiration date, where the grief will not go on forever, where the story, however badly written, eventually reaches its final page. I do not get a final page. My story does not end. It simply continues, the same chapter, rewritten in different centuries, with different names and different cities, but the same hunger, and the same silence, and the same face in the mirror that I stopped recognizing sometime around the fall of Constantinople. They say that death is the great equalizer, that it takes prince and pauper alike, that no one escapes it. I escaped it, and I am here to tell you, escape is the wrong word. I did not escape death. I was abandoned by it. Death looked at me and decided I was not worth collecting. And that rejection, that cosmic, infinite rejection, is the foundation of everything I am. Do not envy the immortal. Pity him. He is the only creature in the universe who cannot look forward to rest. Chapter 10. The Dawn. Ember beneath ash. Good night. Dawn is coming. I can feel it, the way sailors feel a storm, not in the eyes, but in the bones. A pressure, a pulling. The light does not destroy me the way your stories claim, but it weakens me. It makes the world loud and sharp and honest in a way that the darkness does not. The night is kind to things like me. It softens edges. It forgives silhouettes. The day demands definition, and I have none left to give. So I will retreat, as I always do, into the stone and the silence and the library and the fire that still sounds like fire. And tomorrow night I will wake again, and the hunger will be there, and the nothing will be there, and the memory of a woman jumping from a tower will be there, as clear as the day it happened, 500 years ago. I am Dracula, son of the dragon, prince of Wallachia, impaler of men, the thing in the dark that your ancestors warned you about. But before all of that, before the blood and the centuries and the curse, I was a boy in the Carpathian Mountains who loved his father and feared the Turks and believed that honor meant something. I still believe it means something. That is perhaps the most human thing about me. After 500 years of darkness, I still believe in something I cannot name, something that the blood cannot reach and the centuries cannot erode, something that sits beneath the hunger like an ember beneath ash. Call it what you will. The soul, the conscience, the memory of who I was before I became what I am. It flickers, but it has not gone out. And that, if you are asking whether there is anything left of the man inside the monster, is your answer. I am Dracula, and that is my story. Now close the curtains. The sun is almost here. Good night.